Hello and welcome to Movie On Up in this bonus episode in all but name. I'm your host, Alfie Walker, and I'm here with your other host,
Adam Barlow.
Yeah, this is episode 100 in spirit, but we've been a little busy, we've been a little busy, and we know we want to do episode 100 in person to see each other and record it because it's been a while. So this is a big episode. We're covering two huge films today and some other films, but it's labelled as a bonus episode, so enjoy. How have you been, Adam Barlow?
I'm good, thank you. I don't want to be that guy, but I've taken up running recently because I'm training for a 5K, and I'm in my running stuff at the moment, and I'm sweaty, and I've got DOMs. I was saying to Alfie before we hit record, the only DOM I knew was a sort of power play sexual thing. Apparently DOMs in your knees is something different. So I've been told.
So I've been told, of course. Yeah,
that's been my battle this week. How are you?
Oh, well, I've not been having any interaction with any DOMs of any kind, so that's all on you. I've been fine. I went to a very exciting press screening yesterday, so we'll be talking more about that. I guess we should address, before we move on, that last week we came to you via the format of video entertainment. This week we're back to just audio, and it's not just because Adam looks like a sweaty hot mess from running.
Although I'm sure if I really did look like that, I mean, hey, the camera will be on, best believe. Bit of window shopping for you lovely listeners. But no, I really loved doing the video episodes a couple of weeks ago now. I mean, I can't wait to do one in person, of course, next week for episode 100, but coming back all guns a-blazing, is that a phrase, for episode 101 will be really exciting, and I can't wait. And now I've got an actual nice background. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely, it should be fun. So yeah, episode 101 onwards forever, theoretically. Now we'll be doing video. Last week was our little trial run, you could call it, I guess. And then this week we've got a little bonus one. Next week's going to be in person, recorded from the orange sofa right behind me. Almost red on camera, which is good for the branding. And then yeah, episode 101 onwards will be video every week. So look forward to that.
Amazing. Let's start off today then by discussing the awards ceremony that happened on Sunday, just gone. We're not bitter that we weren't there.
No, not at all.
The last couple of years,
invited, like you said, for 2 years in a row. Yeah, we're invited. Go for it.
Then just swept under the carpet like we were nothing.
The email was quite sort of, I'm not going to say passive aggressive, but it had a tone to it. Let me tell you that. It had a please don't reply to this and beg to come because it won't happen line at the bottom, which was like, oh, okay. Okay, Rebecca from BAFTA. Like,
normally we would beg, but there we are. It's okay though. I think it was a very exciting night. I was watching the live tweets from Empire Magazine come through on my phone while working a shift at Sainsbury's. Other retail stores are available, and it was really nice. Like, I still got quite excited. I was going around with this electric pump truck that really you should have quite a bit of care with, because you could easily swipe out an entire aisle and cause like £100,000 of damage in one foul swoop. But I was just doing it one-handed and holding my phone in the other, and just hoping for the best, really. But I had a really nice time, and watching the headlines come through and the quotes from people like Ryan Coogler and all the acceptance speeches. It was really good. So let's take a look at some of the winners, I suppose. What was the kind of main headline for you, Alf, besides the obvious?
No, I think the main thing to say is that I'm so glad that it was a complete drama-free evening. There was no mishaps and nothing like a Will Smith punch-up. There was no arguments, no disagreements, no horrible like shouting at microphones while people are on stage. There was nothing. It was a really good atmosphere, and I'm so glad it went in a really peaceful way. What a great year, eh? No controversies. It's good to see.
Yeah, it was nice to see Twitter just be calm for once. So often people can get up in arms about small things and really big things, but thankfully there was nothing huge and important to mention.
No, nothing at all. Paddington's jokes landed really flat. That made me a little bit sad. No one was laughing at this poor bear. Not even out of sympathy, not even some giggles. It was like no one in the room got it. And it was actually quite cringy and sad. Poor guy.
Do you know what? Sorry, this is a bit off-piste, but we need to talk about the Paddington musical. I'm sure we've mentioned it before. Big fans of Paddington here on the Moving Up podcast, as you should know if you've listened for a while. But there's something about that Paddington musical that doesn't sit quite right with me, because I'm sure it's lovely, and I haven't seen it yet, so I can't honestly say. I don't think the bear's that cute, and I know you can't obviously have Ben Whishaw doing the voice. I don't think the voice quite works. It sounds a little bit too normal. I think Ben Wishaw's has a sense of wonder and kind of cuteness to it, whereas this is just a British guy. And I've done impressions in like passing moments in the podcast that I think genuinely sound better, and I know that's blowing my own trumpet, but I stand by
Blow away, my friend, blow away, because you're quite right. I think there's something about Ben Wishaw's that makes it charming, but I think the live action stage show Paddington voice could just be a very small boy or a very old man. There's kind of like, it's just like you said, just a little bit too normal, and he's not as cute. You're right, he looks, and props to them, it looks like the book, because it isn't particularly cute in that traditional book either. But if you're throwing him up on stage, and we've had the films come out where people love how he looks, I'm shocked they didn't try and just emulate him, basically.
Yeah. Or maybe do like a puppet thing. You know when they did the Winnie the Pooh tour and they had an actual, like maybe that would have looked better. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's just a small person in a suit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's clever how they've done it. And they've got the remote control face, and it is intricate, and I respect it for that. But as a final thing, I just think it's going to be rammed down our throats, isn't it? I mean, he's going to be everywhere. I saw a tweet saying, I can already see it now, Paddington's going to be reading out our Eurovision results. And you can just see it happening. Like, I bet he's going to be there at the World Cup. I'm surprised he wasn't there, like, leading the Team GB Olympians in the Winter Olympics. But
it was a bit rude when someone shouted something at him, but I don't know what that was about.
We should say... We just don't want to get involved in it because it's been so heated. It's a horrible situation for all parties involved. So we'll leave it at that.
You check out Grace Randolph's tweets if you want to know more.
Yeah.
A truly car crash of a situation. Anything that's been said has been said, and nothing more needs to be said. So yeah. Let's talk about some winners.
Better informed than us, yeah. So the main headline, adjacent to the big thing, is Robert Aramayo winning both the EE Rising Star Award and Best Actor on the same night, which I haven't fact-checked this, but I'd be astounded if that isn't a first-time thing.
I think it's definitely a first-time thing, right?
That's mad. An incredible work, because I Swear was brilliant, and he made that film.
It's one of those things where I guess they had settled on him winning Best Actor, and then automatically have gone, well, he can't not win Rising Star then, can he? That's my sort of guess. But
that one is audience voted, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I didn't even... No, you're right, it is, yeah.
And I know I voted for Robert Aramayo, but it was a difficult category. I thought Miles Casson was up there as well. I heard somewhere that I think he learned how to play the guitar in like 2 weeks or something ridiculous, and then co-wrote the song that happens in the middle of the film. How on earth have you managed that? And acting well,
he's definitely
and
younger
singing.
than us as well. Like, horrible.
Talented
I'd say, I'd say overall these winners have been pretty good, aren't they? Like full on. I think maybe Frankenstein getting the 2 wins. I enjoyed Frankenstein.
I think he got 3.
Yes, I think you're right. I think he did get 3, didn't it? I think maybe that's a bit much. I don't think Frankenstein is that good. And I've heard it's going in the Criterion closet, which also is wild to me. I don't think it's at that caliber level of film as much as I liked it. So the only shocks for me was Frankenstein. The rest of it, I feel like this year you could say any of these top films that people are saying, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I've got no sort of opinion against any of them. We know Jessie Buckley's going to win that Oscar. We know, yeah, like Timmy didn't win. Yeah, fine. If Timmy did win, I'd have been like, yeah, fair enough. I feel like they're just so interchangeable. They're all so good and of such a good standard. Nothing really shocked me.
You'd be forgiven for thinking we're in the same boat as we were last year, where we were kind of saying the same thing, like, we've got a film podcast, but we don't really care. But that, I think last year was because we actually found everything to be sort of a 4 out of 5. And actually our 5 out of 5 films last year weren't anywhere near a nomination, which is weird. Whereas this year, I think we were like buying into the hype for everything. Everything that people said was good, and we enjoyed. So we're sort of the inverse of last year, where actually I don't mind who wins, but because they're all good. I don't think there's a wrong choice, really, apart from maybe Begonia and Frankenstein, I guess. But
cut the last 10 minutes off Begonia, and I could say, yeah, it's a winner. But I think the ending spoils it for me.
Yeah, it goes a bit balls to the wall, doesn't it? Which is to be expected with a Lanthimos film, to be fair. What was the other thing I was going to mention? Oh, yeah, you mentioned Timmy not winning. Not only that, it's tied for the most losses at an awards night, I think, ever. So it was nominated for 11 categories, and Marty Supreme didn't win anything, which I think is fascinating.
I think it's done better overseas than it has in the UK, and UK talent always prevails at the BAFTAs. It's so biased, but I mean, good on it, so it should. It's the BAFTAs, and I think that's a good chunk of the reason why Robert Aramayo has won what he won. Yeah, it makes me wonder how it's going to go for the Oscars, because they always use these, don't they, as the footing for, you get the Actors Guild, you get the Globes or whatever, you get the BAFTAs, and people then place their bets on the Oscar winners. And I think Robert Aramayo has thrown a bit of a spanner in the works, and I think Marty Supreme getting nothing also has made people maybe second guess what's going to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Timmy does win the Oscar. I think possibly Wagner Moura is in with a chance as well. I'd be surprised though if they did give it to Leo, because I don't think this is his. For me personally, I actually really loved his performance in One Battle After Another, but I don't know if it's technically brilliant enough or interesting or new enough to warrant an Oscar win.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's always up in the air, isn't it? It's sort of all speculation anyway. Jessie Buckley, as you say, that's a dead set. Place your bets now, put $100,000 on it and walk away, because I'm 99% sure she's going to get that. And I think Best Picture will be One Battle After Another. I think Best Director will be PTA.
Sinners. Oh yeah.
Oh no! Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
I think Sinners.
Oh God, I'm forgetting Sinners. Yeah. Oh no, of course. Yeah. Oh, Sinners could win actually.
I don't think it will win picture, but I think it will win like screenplay or adaptation, whatever those categories it fits in.
Ryan Coogler for Best Director. Yeah, fair play. The one category that's really up in the air at the moment that has had like no through line at all is Best Supporting Actor. Just so that could go either way, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
When are the Oscars, Adam?
They are the 15th of March, which is Mother's Day. So make sure when you're out shopping for your Oscars snacks to also get your mum a bloody gift. All right? It can be a ticket to the cinema. Hey Sydney, what's your favourite scary movie? And why is it Scream 7? Alfie went along for a press screening in the Big Smoke in the old London town. Did you walk past the Paddington mural?
Ironically, I didn't. My train arrived slightly later than planned, so I actually got the tube, a 4-minute tube journey, but only it's like a 20-minute walk. Which I would usually do because you walk straight past that Paddington mural. But no, I had to jump on the Northern Line for 4 minutes and get there. And I was at the very back of the queue to get in. I was oh no, am I going to get in even though I've got a ticket? But I did stop and have a chat with a lovely guy. I think his name was Heinan. He was a film journalist who used to write for Esquires. God, I wish I'd got his contact, Adam. but he had to join a different queue because he was more important. So unfortunately, I didn't. But I told him the name of the podcast, so he might be listening. You never know.
Oh, that's good. Hello. Hope you're well.
Get us a job, please. Yes, I went and caught Scream 7. I guess start off with a huge thank you to Paramount and Spyglass for the invite. We always get the Paramount invites, don't we? We must be on their good books. We always seem to get invited to these, so that was great. Adam couldn't go to this one. I think he was busy being an adult, doing journalism.
What was I doing Wednesday night? I saw my granny for her birthday. That's what I did.
Oh, cute. Very nice. Well, yeah. You could have taken her to this, actually. For her birthday.
What? 79-year-old lady. I think she'd rather be tucked up in bed with a Horlicks and watching EastEnders.
Or who wouldn't? Yeah, so I caught Scream 7. It was at the Cineworld at Leicester Square. Always a great venue. The screens are everywhere. They do all the projection on the stairs. We always get the free popcorn, water and a beer at the front, which is lovely. So yeah, thank you for the invite. This film, so the review embargo lifted this morning at 9 a.m, which is always a red flag because the film came out today at 9 a.m. They only ever do that when they know the reviews are bad, which is, I guess, a worry. I won't lie. And the film has now famously had I believe, £500,000 rewrite. It's had Jenna Ortega and someone else, I can't remember her name, the main actress from the last film, leave, like mid-filming. And I believe Neve Campbell got a £7 million paycheck for this film, which is incredibly high. So there's been a lot of drama around it. There's been a lot of chaos. Some people are boycotting it because of the whole thing with the previous actors leaving. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. When I walked in the screening, we were prefaced with the thing, please do not spoil this film in your reviews. They came out at the beginning and said, we don't want people to know what happens in this film before they see it. So keep your reviews spoiler free. So yeah, I'll tiptoe around spoilers as much as I can. That did, though, mean that this Paramount rep coming out at the beginning and being like, please do not spoil this film, made me go, wow, there's going to be some huge big twist here, or some huge cameo or a returning character from previous films that's maybe dead and comes back. It sort of raised my expectations a bit. And yeah, it sort of got me a bit more hyped than I originally got. So that was good. To start, though, the audience was great. When we went and saw Running Man, we really enjoyed it and were laughing and loving it. But I feel like the audience we were with weren't laughing at the same level we were, or weren't enjoying it, weren't clapping, which obviously you don't always get in British showings. But I feel like if the film's encouraging you to do it, you do it. And luckily for this film, they were great. Everyone was clapping and cheering and whooping. There is a great moment when Courtney Cox shows up. She's in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler. She shows up in a very big reveal kind of way. And yeah, she steps on screen and everyone cheered so loud. It was like she'd walked in the bloody room. That's how much people were cheering, which was great. It was such a cool atmosphere. Yeah, every time someone was murdered in a really gruesome way, people were cheering and making like vomit noises, and like the crowd participation was really good. It was an excellent environment to watch the film in, and definitely increased my appreciation of the screening. I think maybe if you go in this and have a dead audience, you might not enjoy it as much. No one's going into this film, I think, expecting a really profound commentary, which is a good way to go in. It's fun. It's over the top. It's slightly cringy at times with some of the plot elements. I'll say in a moment. It's kind of classic slasher. It's petering on being a parody of itself, which is difficult because obviously you've got the Scary Movie, which is the parody of it. So it's quite a difficult one. I think it cuts the balance fine for me, but I think some people won't like it as much. The previous two, like you said before we recorded, have been pretty resoundingly appreciated as a number what's that, 5 and 6 in a franchise, and for people to say, wow, this is still good. People really like 6. It maybe doesn't hold the same sort of candle to as those do. Every Scream film obviously starts with a intro, sort of an intro segment where it will parody maybe a previous film or set up a film or be something quite separate to the whole film. This one started with an Airbnb themed to the Stab movies, which are obviously the Inside film series based on the films, and it's fun and cringy. It was like based on the first house. This couple go in, they're not going to be in the rest of the film. You can tell it's just this sort of thing to get you in the mood, and it did. It was fun. It was good. It's got some real excellent horror imagery in it, some real like proper cool iconography. There's some great shots of Ghostface appearing almost sort of disembodied, almost you can't see the body and the knife, you just see his mask sort of like float in the background, and it's really quite creepy at times. There's some scenes where we'll creep out in a corner or in a room, and you'll just sort of see the mask very faintly come in and then disappear, and
nice.
It's quite cool because they haven't really done that before. You usually always see him in the background, but not in this way. And there's some great shots with like Ghostface with fire in the background, and you've sort of got him backlit, and you can just see his silhouette with the mask and lighting up the face, and it looks great. And there's also some really cool shots with people dying. So there's a bit of a Chekhov's gun, I guess, but there's a whole like stage rig for someone floating at one point, and the moment you see it, you're like, well, I know someone's gonna die on that.
Yeah.
And the way it ends the scene with someone in that, it sort of like lights it really quite well, and it's visceral, it's horrible, it's quite gruesome. Maybe some of the most gruesome deaths in the series, to be honest, especially a couple of them. And there is an absolute great death scene with a beer pump. And you can picture the shape of a proper big beer pump in America. They're usually a bit larger. I've got a very pointy sort of thing on the top. You can picture what happens.
Now, you and I went to uni. I think it's safe to say we've both died after using a beer pump as well.
It was great. It was a really good death. It's got some cool ones in there, and I think it keeps it fresh because in a series where you have maybe 4, 5, 6 people dying every film, how do you keep doing new ways to do it and not ways that are impractical? With Saw, for example, you've got stupid contraptions and they can be as elaborate as you want and they are fine because it's what it is. But with this, it's just a man with a knife, isn't it? So they've still got to be fairly grounded, and it does them well. It keeps it alive. The film focuses on Neve Campbell's Sydney Prescott and her daughter, who is played by Isabel May, who I haven't seen anything. And they're both good. It's a proper sort of mother-daughter film, and you get that from the get-go. It's focused on her in a new quiet town, basically, where she's escaped all of her past, and her past comes back to haunt her in what happens in every single one of these films. You've got the usual faces showing up. Like I said, Courtney Cox is in here. There is a really, really big reveal basically for the final villain in the first 20 minutes. And the impact of it, I don't think it hit for me. I was like, oh, wow, they've just revealed this huge character coming back who shouldn't be coming back. And I think if you've seen some of the marketing, you're going to know who it is. But it was it didn't hit for me. I was kind of shocked by it. And it should have been like, oh, wow, this character's back. But it was sort of played down quite low key, and unfortunately it didn't hit. The film has a very big plot point regarding like deep fakes and AI, and I think that's always a little bit cringy in films. I don't know why. I just feel like even though that is definitely a thing you can do now, it always just feels a little bit weird when they do that. And when they talk about AI and they talk about, well, I worked for Google and I know how to do AI, it's always a little bit like it made my toes curl a bit.
Yeah, it's like when they reference COVID, it's a bit like, it's one of those things where it's so it's so current. Obviously, you want films to be relevant to to connect to them, but I think there's also a charm. Like most people's favorite movies are older than 10 years ago, right? Because you've got distance from them. But it is difficult, yeah, as you say, when AI is so of the moment. It sort of takes you out a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, cause that's the thing. AI is staying around, isn't it? It's not going anywhere, but it kind of dates it because it's almost like the Hulk dabbing in Infinity War or whatever, or in Black Panther where she says, "What are those?" Like it really timestamps your film because the deep fake technology in this film, you can go, right, I know this took place then in 2025 because that's the technology that's just become available. And it is a little bit cringy. So yeah, and then this main villain sort of returning. It was a huge moment that just didn't have as much impact as I'd quite liked it to. And then obviously every film has its ghost face reveal at the end after doing the detective work. And for me, I don't think it hit as well as it should have. I guess it's quite difficult to do that now when you've had so many reveals and so many. Like what Scream 1 is, Billy and Stu, and then you've got Billy's mum, and then you've got Sydney's brother, then you've got Emma Roberts, then you've got like all these people who are in the films and they've kind of exhausted their connections to Sydney, so now they're sort of reaching a bit at the back of bottom of the beer barrel almost kind of thing. So yeah,
so
the
is
big
Sydney
reveal.
in every? Is she the lead in every one of these films?
She's not in the previous one, so that's why they got, I think, is it General Tager and someone else. Basically, there was a huge dispute over pay. So, Neve Campbell didn't come back, so they got someone completely different to come back, come in and sort of do it. And then they left the film over I think it was over Israel stuff. And then they got Neve Campbell back by offering her £7 million. So
that'll do it. I like the idea of it. I like the idea of them going on to like Scream 15, and as you say, it gets like more and more tenuous. It's like, oh, it's Sydney's
babysitter's goldfish's brother.
Yeah. Oh, Sydney, do you remember your first crush? Yeah, well, it's his cousin who moved to Australia and then did some work on Skype, and then I think he moved back to the UK, and then he opened up a fish and chip shop. And
hey, Sydney, you remember in class in 1997, and you sat next to this guy? Well, his mom had a friend
who illegitimately gave birth to my father.
Who then was best friends with, and it just keeps going and going and going. That's got to be something in the scary movie films. That has to be a skit.
That's an SNL sketch, surely. They announced the SNL UK cast recently. I think we should be in it, frankly. But,
that is what it kind of feels like. It really is. So the plot line revolving about AI personally didn't do it for me. Although it has some excellent cameos. In the last 10 minutes, they pull out all the stocks and get loads and loads of previous people back. They're only small cameos. It's really good. It's sort of fun. I think the main thing is if you go into this film expecting Jaws, Godfather, Oppenheimer, any of these huge films, you're so mistaken about what a film is. What a Scream film is. I think it's fun. I think it makes fun of itself and has some good moments. There's some really cool shots in here, like I said, of Ghostface and some cool deaths that keep it creative. Just go into it expecting to just have a laugh and laugh with it and at it. And I think you'd have a really good time, because I honestly did. Getting out of the cinema, and people were talking about it a lot. People were loving it. People were there in Ghostface masks and full costumes, and it was so cool. Yeah, people seemed to enjoy it when we were walking out. So I would recommend going to see it, especially if you're a slasher fan or a fan of the Scream films. It's good. It's worth a watch. How many of them have you seen, Adam?
Only the first, but I watched it around Halloween last year, and I quite enjoyed it. I had a good time. It's a bit of a classic, isn't it? And it's sort of it's camp, and it's like spooky when it needs to be, but also a bit gory and funny, and yeah, it's a good blend of a lot of different things that shouldn't work together, but it does pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's sort of a bit meta, and the original film knew exactly what it was. It knew that it was almost a parody of slashers, and this film keeps that in the same vein. It really does. So yeah, it's a recommended watch from me. Heathcliff, it's me, oh Cathy, so come home, I'm so cold. Let me in your window.
Ho ho!
Aha! Most importantly, is Steve Coogan in this film, and does he do a rendition of Wuthering Heights?
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm afraid not. No, Steve Coogan is far away from this film. I'll tell you who is very much close to this film, Emerald Fennell, because she directed it. Now, if you've listened to this podcast for more than 3 episodes, you'll know my distaste of Saltburn and distaste of leftover semen in bathtubs. And
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, hey, Heathcliff, let me
It's
into your
me,
window.
Cathy, come home.
Oh, absolute filth. Yeah, Wuthering Heights is the adaptation of Emily Bronte's classic 19th century novel, a book that I haven't read, but apparently everyone else has in their English
I think
lessons.
they're lying. I won't lie. I think they're lying, Adam Barlow. I think they've all read it via watching TikTok and YouTube videos about it. I don't think many of the people moaning about this film have read it. Just my opinion, though.
Well, okay. Yeah, well, I mean, it's a bit better than Colleen Hoover book, I'll grant her that. So I haven't read the book, but I've seen some of the changes that they've made. And some of them are really quite big and like a huge change to like Heathcliff's character and the whole driving force of the conflict in this story, which I think is a really bizarre choice because it really seems like the Emily Bronte book and the grand themes of racism and classism seem like really important topics that a film made in 2026 would actually tackle head on. And yet Emerald Fennell was being like, actually, no, I'm going to strip away that or have it very faint in the background, and I'm going to cast Jacob Elordi instead. I'm going to cast Margot Robbie as I think someone who's meant to be like 19, even though Margot Robbie's what, 36, however old she is.
I'm going to put everyone in dog collars and make them bark on all fours.
Yeah, they're all going to be into BDSM, which I've been told that Emily Bronte and the Bronte sisters obviously were very ahead of their time. I mean, women back then even being able to read and write was a huge thing for society. But I think from what I understand, their books were quite risque, or I think they quite liked pushing the envelope. So in a certain way, I quite enjoy the fact that we've got a female director who, I mean, I don't want to give her any credit and be like, oh, she's up there with Emily Bronte. Of course, I'm not saying that. Don't quite me put your pitchforks down. But there is that sort of similarity where they are both people that want to, step outside of maybe what's comfortable for audiences or for readers. And I kind of respect that. I haven't seen Promising Young Woman either, but between this and Saltburn, I far, far preferred this. And actually, as it was going through, I felt quite engaged with the film. I felt quite sad at the end. I sort of bought into the love story, even though they're both horrible, horrible people. And I don't know if that's from the book. I don't know if that's how they're meant to be, but certainly in this film, they're both dickheads. I'm sorry, but they are. They're not very nice. They're not very considerate of each other's feelings. They have zero communication skills. And it's almost a frustrating watch. And maybe it's a frustrating read, again, I can't say, but it's irritating that these two people both love each other, but do not properly or healthily communicate that. And by the end, when it doesn't quite work out, I won't go into spoilers too much, but it is quite sad, and you just feel really devastated for each other because you're like, well, you could have sorted this out if you just had a little heart to heart, but it never happens. So that's Wuthering Heights, the plot. In terms of the things that I was worried about, and I think maybe, well, here's the thing, right? Alf, I know you haven't seen it yet, but what do you think people wanted from this film? Because if they wanted a really accurate representation, you've already had that in previous films, right? I mean, Ralph Fiennes did one. There's one from like the 1940s that's apparently really good and definitive. I thought that the fans that were really hyped up to see this film, A, liked Saltburn, and B, liked Wuthering Heights, and therefore wanted to see a Saltburn-esque version of Wuthering Heights, which is kind of what this is, albeit rather tame, thankfully, for my taste anyway. I actually think that I thought, for example, was it Baby Girl? With Harris Dickinson? I thought that was a bit more risque. There's nothing anywhere near as bad as that in here. So, for an Emerald Fennell film, it's quite restrained, and for an adaptation of Wuthering Heights, it's also not really that recognisable. But I would have thought the people that were hyped for this would be happy with it.
Yeah, I was of the same opinion. I'm going to sneeze again, Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. Nope, it's gone. No, I was of the exact same... No, I was of the exact same opinion. I thought people, when this was announced, people were like, yes, I want to see this. I want to see a sexy, risque version of this book. Like you said, we all know what Saltburn was, whether you liked it or not. You can't deny it's got some, like, the shots and the music video-esque visual style, and there's a charm to it. I think there's a charm to it, and some people loved the raunchy sort of sexy elements of it. And I thought when people heard she was doing Wuthering Heights, they were like, wow, yeah, perfect. I want to see that in the form of that. And I think from the beginning, it's been branded as an adaptation. I don't think she's gone out and said this is meant to be one-to-one. I mean, the poster's got quotation marks on Wuthering Heights, hasn't it? It's got quotation marks on. I think it's being promoted as that. So to see people's anger and outrage at the adaptation is weird, because like you said, there's already a very, very accurate one. I think there's even a Tom Hardy version as well, I think, from like the early 2000s. There's plenty of versions that are really accurate. So yeah, why not just go for it? It might be a bit of an unpopular opinion, I think, that we've both got here, but I say I am of the full opinion, like you said, where like, yeah, just go for it, do something a bit different. We've already had a carbon copy multiple times, and if you want to read the book, read the book.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, I was a bit surprised when I walked out of the cinema, and certainly the people in my screening seemed to enjoy it, and everyone was a bit sniffly at the end of it. But then to go online and be like, I was sort of expecting everyone to enjoy it, but everyone was slating it. I was like, oh, okay. But to sort of zoom in on the film in its more technical level, the cast I thought will do a very good job. I think Jake Elordi, Margot Robbie had good chemistry for sure. Alison Oliver, who plays Isabella Linton, is the one that is quite submissive and is on all fours at one point in the film. I think that is obviously a huge change from what I'm aware, and I'm not a fan of that. I think that's when it moved into its sort of third act and that side of the story came in. I was like, oh, it is getting a bit too close to Saltburn now. I think, and I could tell even watching, I'm like, I don't think this happens in the book, and it's a bit like Emerald Fennell just writing a fan fiction or writing a Wattpad's version of it, which is. It's, you know, I mean, fair enough, but it seems a little bit derogatory and a little bit...
They got rid of Hindley as well, didn't they? He's not in it. Catherine's brother.
I think you're right. And again, that's a huge part of why Heathcliff's character develops to be the sort of troubled character that he is at the end of the film. And you kind of lose a lot of the journey for both of the characters, really. So they just kind of both of them seem a bit unhinged and a bit bratty.
For no reason.
I mean, it's fitting with Charlie XCX doing the soundtrack, but Thank you.
Did any apples fall from trees in those wonderful, beautiful countrysides?
No, but the apple was rotten right to the core for both of these folks. The generational trauma was real.
Bumping
I
that.
will say, bumping that 365 when I'm
Party
bumping
girl.
that. The song about clubbing, I can't remember what it was. Martin Clunes is.
Oh my god,
really
I forgot
here.
he was in it.
So did I, and then he rocks up as the dad playing Earnshaw, the dad of Catherine, and he is essentially Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings mixed with a little bit of who else does he remind me of? Just like a really slimy, like gnarly, like kind of a bit like Gollum.
I love it.
There's someone else
it.
I related him to, but I can't remember who it was. It's left my mind, but certainly Wormtongue. And he's just like, he's got terrible teeth and he's hunched over and he's an alcoholic and he's swearing and he's riding his horse and going to the pub and blacking out and then sort of rather depressingly beating his daughter, and well, Heathcliff takes the brunt of it to protect Kathy, who he kind of adopts, and I think in the book it's sort of rumoured that that's his illegitimate son, hence why he's so charitable to take him in. I just thought he was doing really great work and really hamming it up, and I'm like, you know what, when the film kind of looks this dreamlike, because Emerald Fennell's directing in Saltburn, I will admit, it looked gorgeous, and I'm glad to say this is the same. So if you liked that aesthetic, you will more than enjoy this. But Martin Clunes, I think, is the only one that really understood the assignment personally.
I love it.
I think he's
good.
really sending it. And it's so good to see him. Like, I don't know if people outside of the UK know him, but
Definitely not.
it's great. He's really good here. I will also give a shout out to Owen Cooper from
Adolescence,
of course, thank you. He plays the younger version of Heathcliff, and it took me, well, I recognised him immediately, and I was like, oh my god, is that Owen Cooper? But I didn't know for sure, so I was eagerly waiting for the credits, and it was. I thought he did a great job. Looks quite a bit like Jacob Elordi, so when you age up the characters of these younger actors, works really well, which I think is a bit of a technical thing, but I thought, worked quite effectively. And shout out as well to Charlotte Mellington, who plays the younger Catherine, also very good. I had a good time with it. I thought Charlie XCX's soundtrack, for all the promotion that got as well, not that prominent at all. I think they only do about 2 of her songs, which kind of fitted in. Yeah, it fits in okay, but when
does it not underscore the whole film? I thought it would.
No, I don't think it did. But then I've not listened to her full album, so maybe it's stripped back versions of the songs from that album, but there's certainly 2 songs that come in full pelt.
I think I'm gonna die in this house.
Yeah, which is the opening scene.
Oh really?
Yeah, it kind of doesn't really make sense. I didn't think that the lyrics of the songs actually kind of contradicted what was on the screen in the whole plot, and I don't think that was purposeful. Like, there's a love song that happened, like The Chains of Love. I mean, it's about Kathy trying to get out of the marriage that she's put herself into. But I think the song kind of is about, I guess, breaking free, but there's something about it that kind of was a little bit not quite on the mark with it, which was weird considering it's a soundtrack film for the film specifically. Anyway, the one song that did make an impact was this kind of almost Irish-sounding folk song that comes in. It wouldn't have been amiss in Sinners. I thought that was really effective and actually really helped build a bit of the emotion in the third act. I thought that was maybe my favourite scene. But a close runner-up for favourite scene was the opening scene, which I think, and I'll leave it at this, because I think this kind of perfectly sets up the tone of the film. It starts off with like a black screen. It will say Emerald Fennell film, produced by this, directed by, whatever. Gives you a load of details. It's just like white text on a black background, and it's just panting and like creaking, like it sounds like bedboards, and it's like slowly getting more intense and kind of faster, and you're like, oh god, it's gonna start off with like Heathcliff tugging one off or something, and it reveals it reveals to be a guy being hung, and I burst out laughing. I was like,
it.
"What?" Like that really pulls the rug from underneath you, and it's like it kind of is exactly. I think Emerald Fennel in Saltburn would have done exactly what you think it was going to be,
Yeah.
but Wuthering Heights is the opposite. And people have said there's a bit of a commentary comparing death and sex together, and I don't know if I want to give it that much credit. I don't think it's that intentional or that profound. But yeah, this opening scene, you've then got these kids and Kathy's in there amongst them, but it's like the whole village have come out to watch this public execution, and two of the little young boys in the audience are like, "Oh my god, he's got a stiffy on!" Like it does look like he's got a bit of a bulge going on while being hung, and then this nun turns over and she's like sweating and she's looking very flustered about the whole thing, and she looks at the camera and she's like, "Shh, dirty boys," or no, like filthy boys or something. And it's like Emerald Fennell was telling off the audience for expecting smut, which I think actually when that opens the film, I kind of sat back. I was like, "Oh, okay, this isn't really. It's not meant to be taken seriously." And actually, it's a bit hammy. It's all a bit of a. It's almost like a spoof, really. I didn't really take much of it seriously at all, really. I mean, you've got Martin Clunes, as I said, doing panto. And people have got so like defensive over the book. I'm like, guys, did you watch the same film? Like, this is clearly not meant to be, scripture.
You've probably hit the nail on the head there. It's probably people going in who hold this book as gospel and just going in and not getting that. And like you said, you've got Martin Clunes doing an impression of the Hunchback of Notre Dame or whatever. Like, it's like,
yeah, it's exactly that.
Adam, the consumer of content, has been on an absolute rampage over the past 2 weeks and has watched everything and anything you can. So on this new segment of What's Adam Been Watching, we're going to rattle through all of the films we haven't reviewed but Adam has seen, and he's going to give you a brief opinion. I mean, the main one to start with, I think, because it's one of the Oscar noms, so this one you might go into 30 seconds more of detail. Adam, what did you think of The Secret Agent?
I quite liked it. I think it's always got a difficult place when it's so late, its release in the UK, and it's been nominated for loads of stuff, and you know that it's picked up the odd award here and there. Reviews have been very kind to it. I think it's sat at something like 97% Rotten Tomatoes. Empire gave it 5 stars. It's really heavily praised. And knowing all that going into a film can sometimes be quite detrimental. I think, though, I still had a very good time with it. I gave it about 4 stars, I think. Wagner Moura, very good. It's all sort of hinges around him. And I've not seen anything quite like it. It's a very slow burn. I think the title, The Secret Agent, makes you think it's going to be something a bit more action-packed, maybe a bit like One Battle After Another. It isn't that at all. It's all about sort of migration and crime and sort of the sleaziness of people trying to force people out of businesses and out of money and things like that. And it's all very technical. The plot is quite thick. It's maybe a bit difficult for general audiences to break into, perhaps. It's set in Brazil during the military coup, I think.
Is it fully foreign language as well?
Yeah, aside from like 2 or 3 sentences that are in English. But that wasn't an issue. I sat down, I actually booked it for a cinema screening. It was an early one. Couldn't make it in the end because of shift patterns. And then, don't shoot me, but I pirated it and ordered a Goodfellas pizza and ate that with it.
So Brazilian really cuisine to go with it. I like.
Yeah. It was a really nice night in. I've got to say, I'd recommend it. I mean, support your cinemas, obviously, but if it's not playing, then what else can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? Yeah, totally.
But I can see totally how this got nominated. It's saying a lot about a lot of different things about, ethnicity, sort of how you identify yourself, where your nationality is, all that kind of stuff. And Wagner Moura are doing very good work. I enjoyed it. Would recommend.
We just spoke about Wuthering Heights. So now, Adam, you caught Charlie XCX's The Moment, which I've heard very, very good things about. How was this film?
Yes, I had a blast with this. Really, like, enjoyed it far more than I thought I was going to. I think I might have enjoyed it the most out of anyone there. Went with Tamsin, who was a fan of Brat, and is a reasonably big fan of Charlie XCX as well. I don't know much about Charlie XCX. I really love Apple and a few of her bigger songs, and I can't honestly say I've listened to Brat all the way through, but I've heard all the songs at some point or another, and it's really stylistic. It's got that sort of young spark. It feels quite spunky. It's people experimenting. It's almost like a student film, and I mean that in the best way, in the way that it's kind of like an affront on the senses. There's loads of strobe effects. The music's thumping. It's an absolute sort of hectic panic attack of fame and the cost of success, and like trying to recreate and stay on that high, which I think was actually really, really well done. It could have been an entire spoof, and it's billed as a mockumentary, but actually I think it's more kind of subtly reflective and sort of sadder than the trailers might have you believe. But having said that, I found it really funny. Jamie Demetriou, who pops up in all sorts of things, he's in here as her manager, and just like the most limp, like, oh yeah, okay, oh right, okay, so you want that meeting? Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, no, okay. Just getting like completely walked all over. You've got Alexander Skarsgård, fresh off of Pillion, as this sort of European hotshot director that's like done a few artsy nominated films, and he's come in to be her tour director, and he just like doesn't understand the vibe, and he's there like being like sickeningly polite and too nice, and he's there like, okay, so I think we could really work with this, and he's like fluidly moving around. He's like, okay, and what you want to do is you want to just pause and give space to this, and he goes like, Brett, Summer, forever, and then like doing all these like flimsy dances. So funny. I've got to say, I was chuckling the whole way through. And there's a moment towards the end where it kind of gets quite sentimental, maybe a little bit self-indulgent, but I think it mostly earns it. And actually, mate, I think you'd really like it. I'd recommend it. I think out of all the ones I've seen, really go out and see that. It's only like 90 minutes as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Charlie XCX, and I do like the whole album. And like you said, I've seen a lot of people actually give this film quite high praise, so this is definitely one that I'm going to check out. Adam, you also watched the film Cold Storage. How did you find this one?
I knew what I was going in for with this. I'd heard it was very gory. I'd heard it was very stupid. Has Liam Neeson, Joe Keery, Leslie Manville, someone Campbell, I think, who's been in a few other horror films recently. I think she might have been in Barbarian as one of the sort of leads in that. Yeah, it's what I expected it to be. I knew it probably wouldn't be quite up my street. It was very gory and a bit icky. It's not realistic in any way. It's just a absolute sort of piss take, sort of throwback to the 90s B movie sort of. Yeah, it's nothing profound at all. It got the odd chuckle. There's a few good one-liners in here about COVID. It's this really horrible like zombie virus basically, and there's someone walking along and like half their head's rotted off and they're like spewing up like green sludge, and someone goes like, "Oh my god, what's wrong with him?" And someone goes like, "Oh, he's got COVID," in like the most sappy voice. And there's a few one-liners like that that just really made me laugh. Oh, there's one moment as well where you've got to like spread the virus. It's like zombie kind of setup, and this ex-boyfriend goes up to the girl and is like, "Open your mouth so I can throw up in it," in like a really sincere, like whiny way. Yeah, it's really daft. I think if you've got a few mates about and you've got some tinnies in your bag, you'd have a blast. But I wasn't a huge fan of quite how violent and sort of mean-spirited it was. But it was okay.
One that we did get an invite to a press screening of, I believe, that we could not go to, Crime 101. How was that?
Yeah, Crime 101 was all right. Mark Ruffalo doing great work. Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry also fine. Barry Keoghan, I
Stacked
think.
cast.
It is, yeah, it is for sure. Barry Keoghan doing a role here that I personally, when I think of Barry Keoghan, these are the sort of roles I think of, like just a kind of bit of a nut job, like slurring his words, wobbling about. And it's not a Barry Keoghan performance that I really care for or enjoy that much. And it's a very long film. I think it's near enough 2.5 hours. Does not need to be that long at all. It really kind of drags at points. And it's very self-serious. A little bit dry, I think, dare I say. But by the end of it, it wraps up in sort of a nice, cute bow. And I quite like how every character gets a happy ending. And I enjoyed the package, having seen the whole thing. But I think when you're in it, it feels like a bit of a marathon.
This one's passed me by the way by, and I didn't even know this one came out. So we've got Goat, the animated film. How did you find this?
Yeah, very brief. It's basically a basketball film mixed with Spider-Verse, mixed with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mayhem, whatever that was called. It's that art style. It's very frenetic. It's very fast-paced. Gen Z, Gen Alpha humour. It's got like really good reversions of like memes. It really understands meme culture and like actually like not in a cringy way, like actually gets it. So it's pretty funny. Good voice acting across the board. Good cast. I think of all the Spider-Verse iterations, like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, all that kind of stuff. Really love the animation, but script-wise, I think maybe a little bit thin and possibly the most ADHD of all those types of films. It was really like I came out like having laughed a lot, but I was like, oh my god, like I understand how my mum felt when she saw the Lego Movie with me about 10 years ago.
Last couple now. Good luck, have fun, don't die. How was that?
You've done that like the trailer. Good luck, have fun, don't die. I really quite like this. People have been a bit mixed on it. They've said it's a bit too wacky and a little bit derivative of things like Black Mirror, and it absolutely is. Really copies a lot of those big technology sort of dark humour, scariness of like, you know, people losing their lives to VR and AI taking over and ruling the world. And it, you know, borrows a lot of those familiar tropes, but you've got Sam Rockwell, who is an actor I adore. I think you're also a fan. I could be wrong, but he's just pops up every now and then, and it's just there's no one like Sam Rockwell, and he'll pop up in a film every year, every 18 months, and just blow you away at how funny he is, at how charismatic he is, and he plays this sort of screwball time traveller in here, who's just brilliant and actually brings heart to the film as well. And it gets really progressively more and more bombastic with the jokes and with the humour. There's like some really dark humour at the start of this film about like school shootings and, you know, kids' reliance on phones and cloning. There's loads in here, but I really liked it and would absolutely recommend it.
And finally, Adam's a big fan of Looney Tunes, so how was The Day the Earth Blew Up?
I am a big fan of the Looney Tunes. I've got about like 2 or 3 Looney Tunes jumpers, which I love wearing, all from like Hollister. They're super comfy and I think really, really fun. Yeah, grew up watching the Looney Tunes. One of my favourite shows as a kid, and I sometimes, well, quite frequently revisit clips of it, is the Looney Tunes show. Where I'm not sure, because they've all got quite similar names, but it's the one where Bugs and Daffy live in a house together and it's all kind of suburban. It's not quite as wacky as other series of it has been, but it was, yeah, just really witty. You've got like Kristen Wiig voicing Lola. It's brilliant. This film is very small scale. You can kind of tell the budget was small, but it's all hand drawn, and it's a feature length animation of Looney Tunes, which is the first time they've ever done it.
Wow,
About
really?
90 minutes. Yeah, I can believe it. I've seen reviews say you could also tell why they haven't done it before, because the Looney Tunes humour, you've got quite a lot of legwork to put in to make this be engaging for 90 minutes, because obviously the actual cartoons are like 5-10 minutes long, and for that it works quite well. I think they could have done with, dare I say, a bit more outside influence of an actual like experienced filmmaker to step in and be like, okay, so you need a bit more substance here. You need to tighten this up a bit. But that being said, the animation's really smooth. Like it's got some great visual gags, a brilliant like laugh out loud moment where it breaks the fourth wall that really got me. There was like a dad sat behind me with his kid, and they were both just having a really great Saturday morning out. And I was like, you know what, that's what it's all about. And I felt sort of sad that I wasn't there with anyone. I was just sat there on my own. But I was kind of like vicariously watching it with the dad and the son behind me. And I sort of laughed a lot with the dad, and I also laughed a lot with the kids, and I felt like I was the kind of perfect middle ground to bridge all the comedy gaps. So I had a nice time with it. I will say it left me a bit wanting. I think it could have done with a better plot, and more Looney Tunes characters. It was only Daffy and Porky in here, and I love Daffy. Don't get me wrong; he's one of my favourites. But you can't do Looney Tunes without Bugs Bunny. Like, it should have been Daffy and Bugs.
Yeah, totally. Like a film the same height as Tom Cruise, this should have had the full set of like, yeah, all of them, right? Like, yeah, that's mad that they haven't got more in it.
I mean, props to the voice actor whose name I'm blanking on, but he voiced both Daffy and Porky in this film, which I think is just, you don't get that anymore in these big animation films. Like, everyone is a big name and a big celebrity. But this harkens back to the old times of, you know, a voice actor doing exactly that, voice acting and having range.
Cheers for those quick reviews, Adam.
No problem at all. Can I breathe now?
No, we need to wrap up before you do that. If you want to get in touch with us, and we really do ask that some of you do, we put a thing out on social media saying for the 100th episode, please get in touch, tell us something, tell us who you are, give us a voice note, anything. And we got literally no replies, absolutely fuck all, not one of you. So if we don't get any, there won't be an episode 101, quite honestly. It's been really disheartening. Not even the friends that listen have chimed in, you know? What a sad little life, Jane. So please get in touch with us. We really would love you to. Anything. Tell us what you think is going to win the Oscar. Tell us how you've enjoyed the podcast. Tell us if you hate the podcast. You know what? I'd rather have someone email in and say they hate it than at least, what's it? All publicity's, no, what is it? What's
all publicity's good publicity.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, yeah. Move on up at hellogmail.com, whatever. No, it's hello@movieonup.com.
You could also send your hate mail to our Instagram and TikTok, which is @MovieOnUp.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on that one. I'm going to post my trip to see Scream 7. I filmed a little bit of the ambience and stuff, and then going to do cut down the review, I guess, for the socials and chuck that in there. So yeah, keep an eye on there. There'll be stuff going up there. And hopefully, if we pull our finger out, there'll be a funny A-list star bit going up from last week as well. But yeah, keep your ears and eyes peeled. We'll see you in episode 100.
That was an exciting cheer, by the way, not like me getting hit.